Hi, I'm Kamon Reynolds. One of the main questions I get in June and July is how do I get my bees to cap the honey in the honey supers? Check this out right here. So this is a beautiful frame, mostly full, and it just has all this honey right here. There's only a little bit capped on this side and just a little bit of cappings on this side as well, but this is mostly a full frame, and the frame over, exact same thing. I barely see any cappings on this. I'd say this super is probably at least 75% full of honey, but is only capped maybe 20% of the way at the most. What do you do about that? And some people are like, well, you've got to wait till they've got at least 80% of it capped, or 70%, or 72.5. It's one of those. And that's the problem of it is while that's a good rule of thumb, that doesn't always work. And so we're going to show you what we do and how we test for it, and a couple of the tricks that people use. Let me get these bees out of the way so we don't hurt any of them, and I also don't get hurt myself. So today I'm using some of these Apis tactical gloves. This is my first time trying them out. A lot of my buddies have tried them. The fit's really nice. We'll see how they last long term. I really am looking forward to trying the white ones though. These are a little hot, but they are very comfortable. Okay, so some people are like, well, just shake it like this, and if nothing comes out, it's thick enough. Maybe that would work. Some people are like, well, do the string test, and you go like this, and see how far it'll before it completely lets go. I mean, you can kind of do it between your fingers, and that's kind of, if you've got enough experience, that can be helpful. But what if it's 100 degrees outside like it is today versus doing that inside of your honey house, which could be 72 degrees Fahrenheit? That's a pretty big difference on how honey reacts and how I react, to be honest. It's hot out here. I'm willing to take some stings in this white t-shirt. That's how hot it is. Now, the main answer to the question is, this is, I'm pretty sure, perfectly fine. The bees aren't going to cap this even if you sit around and wait 2 months, unless there's a honey flow that happens. Do you think that the bees are going to expend extra energy generating wax just to cap this? Absolutely not. So what this means is this was some of the last honey probably put into the honey supers, and the honey flow stopped. And the reason they make that wax is because they just have so much of it coming in, they feel like they can expend that energy and make all the wax scales, and they convert that honey and nectar into wax, and then they will draw it out further and cap it. But the bees are pretty smart, and they're not going to waste that energy unnecessarily. So you can wait forever, and they'll eat this, they'll use it. It could be perfectly fine, or it may not be, and it could be capped, and it may not be fine either. So we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a second. But first of all, let's show you what I like to do. So I think I'll leave the gloves on for this. I have got a refractometer here, and I've used this one for years. And I'm going to leave a link down below pinned to the top comment, because these are very affordable. And honestly, I think for the price, it's worth getting, just so you know, because you probably have frames like this and it's just fine. So I'm just going to take a drop or two of this honey. Let's not get a lot of wax or anything on here, because we're going to have to be able to use the sunlight. Come on now, you got one more drop in you. I know you do. I think that honey's ready, but let's just go ahead and throw another drop on there. All right. So we have 3 drops of honey on there on this refractometer. I think this is about $30, 20 something dollars for this refractometer. If you're getting $10 a pound for honey, this is a great way to know for certain. We're just going to push that down and maybe get the veil out of the way. Oh my goodness gracious. And so there's lines in here, and it's very easy to read. Right now, this one is about 16. And so what we're looking for is 18, number 18, or 18% water content. That is really good. Anything below that, I really don't want anything above it. You can sometimes get away with more than 18, but it depends on your honey. Some honeys naturally want to ferment and crystallize and do various things more than others. And sometimes when your honey crystallizes, there's a separation of the sugars to the water content, and that's where you can get a little bit of a fermentation as well, and you get that almost alcoholic flavored honey, not in the good way. It's quite soured. This is perfect. 16 means we're gonna have a lot of flavor here, but hey, a lot of people, especially new beekeepers, would look at this and go, oh man, I can't pull that. This is beyond ready to pull. This is prime. 16% is gonna have a strong flavor. It's going to be a nice consistency. Anything thicker than this, and it's gonna be really hard to squeeze out of a plastic jar if that's what you use. I've seen honey down in the 14% area. Oh my goodness. If it's like 68 degrees in the house, you about have to have a good set of biceps to get that out of a container. And this honey's perfect. So this little refractometer can help you out right here. Now, what if it's capped all the way? That doesn't always mean that it's ready. Most of the time it does. I would say probably 95 times out of 100. But in areas that it's extremely humid, some beekeepers have found that even with capped honey, they pull them and extract, and it's closer to 19%, sometimes more. And that's a problem, as that can ferment in your customers' jars and explode or something else. And that's typically not how people enjoy their honey. Unless maybe they're from Kentucky or something like that. Laurel's giving me the look. All jokes aside, capped honey is not a surefire way to know. There's a lot of tips and bee books and YouTube videos, but ultimately there's no sure way to know unless you have a lot of experience, either testing your honey with the string test, shaking it out. More times than not, you'll be just fine. But that 1 year when it's not fine and you've extracted 15 gallons or whatever, and that all ferments on you, that's not a very exciting year to remember. So that's why we have a couple refractometers so we don't have to worry about that. I'd say this hive probably has, oh, I don't know, 3 to 4 gallons of honey that's ready for us to pull and extract that's not capped. So just know that this is pretty common, and you don't have to sit around and wait through July and August for them to cap it, because they won't. And two, they might not have anything left for you by the time August rolls around. When we pull all of this off of here, we're going to check and see if we have a queen down in there, because I noted there was a virgin in here last time I inspected 3 weeks ago. I'll be doing another video on that. And we're gonna give them, if there's a queen, some pollen patty and some sugar syrup, and throw another box on here and get them to draw maybe a little bit of comb. We appreciate you watching this video. If you want to see a little bit about the gloves, we're going to do some more reviews on that in the future. If you want to see something about a cool 9-frame spacer, we're going to have more details on that in the future with our new logo on it and stuff like that. So when in doubt, maybe verify with a refractometer. All right, we'll see you in the next video.